what could seem to take hundreds of lifetimes just for one recognition, I made it all up. I'm doing this unto myself. Another way of saying that is a course workbook lesson. All you need to do is get one lesson, Jesus says, and you can put the book away. You get all 365. If you experience directly one lesson, it transfers to everything and everyone, and you're done. And the lesson I'm referring to today is, I have invented the world I see. Imagine if you just had one moment where you honestly could say to Jesus, wow, I have invented the world I see. And I'm using that lesson because a lot of you I know have studied metaphysics, you've read many books, you've done workshops, seminars, you've read novels, you've taken spiritual classes, many of you are well versed in spirituality. And there's the New Age, I call it a New Age idea, that you can create your own reality. That's kind of a New Age thought. You can create your own reality. And that's actually much more popular than A Course in Miracles, which teaches that God is the creator of reality, and God creates in spirit, and creation is purely spirit and nothing else. So there's a lot of teaching. I know the Abraham material is extremely popular. There's a lot of, I call it New Age teaching, that's basically saying that your thoughts create reality. And we could say that interpreted from A Course in Miracles, you could funnel it more towards, I have invented the world I see. Because everything of time and space and everything of form fits under miscreation, the belief that you can miscreate. That's where bodies come in, that's where stars and planets come in, that's where black holes come in, that's where cosmos comes in. It comes from the belief that you can create beyond yourself, your true Christ self. It believes there's something you can create beyond what is pure creation, which is spirit. So miscreation is just a belief that you can create unlike God. And yet God created you in His likeness and of a like quality, meaning God creates in spirit. Even in the book of Genesis in the Bible, it says God created man in His likeness and image. And Jesus talks about this in A Course in Miracles. You know, it's like of a like quality, of the same essence. You know, in this world we get apples from apple trees and pears from pear trees. We get grapes from grapevines. Well, it works that way in heaven. Spirit creates spirit. And so God is spirit, and Christ is spirit. And the Holy Spirit is spirit. Even has the name, right? The namesake in there. It's all spirit. That's what creation is. It's of a spiritual nature. It's pure spirit. Light extends light. Love extends love. You know, infinity extends infinity. Eternity extends eternally. That's what creation is. And then once we start to talk about time and space, then that's just a belief in miscreation. And for many of you, you know, when you deal with things that relate to the body in your daily life, what's underneath the issue that you're struggling with is still a belief in miscreation. Like if you have pains or symptoms related to the body, then there's a belief that the mind can miscreate in the body. That's just a belief. It's not true. But if you believe that the mind can miscreate in the body, then you have things like, I projected all my guilt onto my body and I have a migraine headache. you hear this from course students. You know, it's not because of anything in the world, but it's my mind projected its guilt onto the body, and I have a migraine headache. That's just the belief that the mind can miscreate in the body. And then, of course, there is the reverse too, the belief that the body can miscreate in the mind. Oh, I caught the COVID virus and now I'm having trouble breathing and I'm having trouble with pain and it's driving me crazy. Oh, okay, the COVID virus in the body is driving you, the mind, crazy. No, the body doesn't drive the mind crazy. That's an example of the belief that the body can miscreate in the mind. You see, either way, it's impossible. But this is very deep. These are subconscious beliefs. These are not beliefs that you're consciously aware of. If you were consciously aware of this, then you might have that happy, I invented the world I see moment. And you might go, wow, God didn't have anything to do with the world. God of love didn't have anything to do with this wacky world. I invented the world I see, meaning my belief in the ego is really what we're talking about with I invented the world I see. It's an early on lesson. So this movie today is spectacular. It's taking us on a spectacular ride away from the everyday perceptions. It will start out there. We will start to see some different scenarios from, I think there's a character, it's Ryan Reynolds playing the characters, playing Gary, I think, in the first scenario, and then he's Gavin in another scenario. He plays a husband and a father in one of the scenarios. We're going to watch a series of what seem to be incarnations or lifetimes or little episodes that seem to have a lot of similarities with each other, but they actually seem to be separate scenarios in terms of time and space. A lot of times people ask me about reincarnation, and I've told you, my friend Alan Dalit, says seriousness causes reincarnation on his signature for his email. But if we'll equate seriousness with guilt. If you have guilt in your mind, that's what draws the mind back into form for what seems to be another go-round on the wheel of karma. So the purpose of your life is to forgive and release all the guilt in your mind, all the guilt, even of your subconscious mind, so that you just go to the light. You aren't tempted to try to work something out or be attracted to or drawn to something in form. It's like if you wanted to use the symbol of lifetimes, you can say to yourself, I think I want this to be my last lifetime. I'm not really keen on incarnating again and going through this crazy, wacky circle of scenarios called living in the world. And so in order to do that, you need to have a guilt-free mind. Now, in Course in Miracles terms, Jesus uses the word specialness. Basically, specialness is synonymous with the ego and synonymous with this ontological guilt of believing something has gone terribly wrong, or I've done something terribly wrong. Even the belief that I fell from grace, that I left God, or the belief that I wandered off into some kind of detour that's called hell. Any way you look at it, there is this belief that something has gone wrong. And Jesus is using the term specialness in the Course to say that that's how the ego is going to maintain itself, because the ego is specialness, it is guilt. And if you find the ego belief system attractive, then Jesus has 3 sections in his text. One section's called the attraction to guilt. It's followed up by the attraction to pain, and it's followed up by the attraction to death. All of those things are saying that now, because of the ego's belief system and you're identifying with it, then now you find guilt and pain and death attractive. He even goes on to say that this world is a world of death worshippers. You just don't hear that very often, even in Course groups, hi, fellow death worshippers, that's not usually the greeting. The Christians have a good word for it. They call it sinner. Everyone's a sinner. And Jesus says, well, sin is not really real, but while you believe in the ego, you are a death worshiper. So we could just say, it's a collection of Satan worshipers. That's what we're dealing with here. We need a strong movie to get us out of this. If this is the case, we actually need an exorcism. We need the Holy Spirit to kind of do an exorcism and show us through a movie a way to escape and be the light, to be the light of Christ. That's what we need. So the first segment of the movie is going to be called The Prisoner. All human beings feel this feeling. Sometimes they feel imprisoned in a relationship or a particular situation. Obviously, for people who are in what the world calls a prison or a penitentiary, there is a feeling like, oh, I am locked up. And many people feel that freedom of the body is a way to overcome this feeling of being trapped or limited or held back. And Jesus is telling us, no, freedom of the body is not going to solve the equation. He says in the Course, what do you want? Freedom of the body or freedom of the mind? For both you cannot have. Freedom of the body is just a trick for the ego. A lot of us have tried that. Has anybody else traveled around to exotic places, gone through exotic experiences, thought that freedom of the body would, be the way to find ultimate freedom, free will? No, it's not. But we have to be shown that what we're trying to do in the wrong mind or the specialness is we're trying to escape using external means. What do I mean by external? The projected world of time and space. It's not really external, but it seems to be external in the human experience. It seems to be outside the body. It seems to surround the body. Now there's an interesting line in the Course in Miracles where Jesus talks about fantasies. And he defines fantasy as fantasy is an attempt to make false associations and obtain pleasure from them. Wow, that's a broad definition of fantasy. That certainly is much broader than the way most people use fantasy. Usually they're talking of fantasy of the future, or they have a sexual fantasy, or maybe they have a fantasy of having a different job or no job at all. Or they daydream and they have fantasies that they think about. But the attempt to make false associations and obtain pleasure from them. Now this movie is going to go deeper towards that. It's going to go beyond the surface level to the idea that just making up a world. I have invented the world I see, and peopling it with characters, and then your mind invents all of time and space, and it invents all the characters, and then it passes out the parts, and it gives everybody the exact things to say and do. It's like, imagine you were the director of a big, historic, like cosmic play, and you got to you make up the characters, you pass out the parts, and then you have amnesia, and you forget that you did it, and then you set it up so that these characters say and do things to you, and you get upset at them for doing what you told them to say and do. You react to them as if you have nothing to do with them. It's like, well, the world was here before I got here, says the ego, and then I just have to deal with these wacky people on a psycho planet. I think that's what Gary Renard calls the world with Arten and Peirce, the psycho planet. You just have to react to all these wacky people. But what if the ego passed out all the parts, and maybe there is no sense of victimization, it's just an attempt to miscreate. It's an attempt to play with form. It's an attempt to dilly-dally with time and space and look for excitement. Look for excitement in moving the characters around. You know, that's what we've done with our mind. We move some around, we call them family, or we call them friends, and some we call lovers, and some we call besties. And, you know, we've got all these names for all these forms of miscreation, and with some of them we think they're important, and the others, oh no, not so important. You see, important images, not important images. This is how the ego works. The central belief behind this whole image-making self-concept is the belief that you can control characters. Even the belief that you can control your body, that's a common belief for human beings. Oh, I can control my behavior. Jesus is saying, no, you can't control even your behavior. You can't control the puppet directly, because what you do comes from what you think, and you can learn to think with God, and you can actually choose peace of mind, choose your right mind, but you have no control over the world you made, is what Jesus says right back there in the Rules for Decision. Right before Rules for Decision, he's telling us you have no control over the world you made. So we're calling on miracles, and miracles are involuntary, and miracles are a state of mind where you just behold the world in the most glorious way, realizing that you can't control it. You can't control the characters, you can't control the body, you simply can behold it. You can observe it, but you cannot control it. I was thinking of that famous Pointer Sisters song. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. Now that's the kind of thing you want to get into. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. Maybe it was the belief that I could control the world that was causing me stress. Maybe it was causing me fatigue. Maybe it was burning me out, thinking I could control the characters, or even the central character, the hero of the dream. That's a full-time job, just to control the hero of the dream, the personality self, much less the other characters. Oh, what a mess. No wonder there's stress in the human condition, because you're trying to control something that you can't control. Even for some of you like the 12 steps, you know, what you can control, what you cannot control, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's powerful. That's a great mechanism of awakening. If you just really took the serenity prayer to heart, you would find bliss, because you would realize you can control your state of mind, but You cannot control the world. You can't control the world. So the first part is going to be, we'll work our way into, it's like the prisoner. And that's just the human condition of believing that you're trapped in some way. And we all know it's very uncomfortable to feel trapped, and oftentimes we have tried all kinds of addictions to try to escape that trapped feeling. And the addictions trying to use externals again, and fantasies and drugs and alcohol and sexuality and all kinds of things to distract away from the feeling of emptiness, of loneliness, of being trapped. It doesn't work. The ego generated all of these things to make sure that you wouldn't escape time and space. And yet, until you find the miracle, then you just go round and round with these distractions. So I would say that what comes after that, another scenario we're going to go through with this movie is one where it's like a TV, reality TV, like the Kardashians. It's reality TV, and this again, this fits in with the New Age belief that you can create your own reality. That's really what's underneath these reality TV shows is, oh, look at me, I'll broadcast it out to the whole world and I'm gonna live my life, but you can see how interesting and dramatic my life is in the world, and maybe other people will enjoy the drama as much. We're not really interested in drama, but this reality TV kind of thing is another scenario, and that's very much tied into the New Age belief that you can create your own reality. And then as we move along, we're going to work our way into scenarios of like a TV show and playing the characters and getting so caught up into playing the characters that your life becomes seemingly conflicted, it's just full of drama, and you don't even know where you went wrong. You start to feel there's something you can't really put your finger on it. You just know that you're dissatisfied. You know that you're not happy. You know that you're not really feeling joyful, but you can't quite put a finger on what it is. That's what we're going to see in this movie, is all of these scenarios of time and space are helping us reach a point where we realize that we made it up. It's helping us come to that workbook lesson, I have invented the world I see. Because Jesus says, if you can come to that admission, then you'll be willing to let it go. But if you're going to play the victim, if you're going to say, this was done to me and that was done to me and I've always mistreated and these people are to blame, or this culture is to blame, or this era of time is to blame, if you keep putting the blame out onto time and space, you won't find happiness, because it's the ego that's luring the mind to try to blame circumstances and people and situations. So this is really showing us the escape from time and space. Miracles are involuntary, and Jesus says they should not be under conscious control. So the more you just reading the Course, but when you actually start to give yourself over to the guidance from within, and you really start to give your heart to really live it, then you're going to start to experience more and more miracles where you just have a smile on your face and you don't even have a reason for it. It's not like something happened, good or bad, or something didn't happen. You just have a smile on your face for no earthly reason. And that's a miracle. That is a miracle. And that is a sense of watching and beholding the world, and it's very involuntary. Most of us, we don't really believe that life can be involuntary. We think, oh, our life relates to the body, it relates to yesterday, it relates to what I'm planning for tomorrow, it relates to trying to control situations. That's why people have life insurance and health insurance and COVID insurance and all kinds of things, because they're trying to control outcomes. They're trying to guard against outcomes that they don't want. Let's be honest, that's what all the insurance is. It's a bet against yourself. It's a bet that you'll get sick and die. That's what insurance is. You're saying, I'm going to wager that I'm going to get sick. I'll put this much premium down every month, wagering I'll get sick, and might as well get some life insurance. I'm going to bet that I'll die. It's pretty bizarre, but that's exactly what it is. Now, the miracle, on the other hand, it takes you into a state of grace where you start to realize you don't have any control over this world, and neither do you want it. You don't want any control over the world. You're happy. You're happy to not have control over the world. That's what's going to happen in this movie. It's the dramas and the difficulties sometimes get so intense that you just have a moment of let go, a serenity moment, a moment of surrender, where you just take a deep breath and go, wow, I am not in charge. I'm glad there is one who's in charge, but I'm glad it's not mini-me. Mini-me is not in charge. So that's joyful. I know, when I was in university for 10 years, I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I started off and people said I had good mathematics skills and good analytical skills. So they said I should be in engineering. So I went into engineering because everyone said I should. And then I was in there and I thought, this isn't really fun at all. I'm not enjoying engineering and vectors and all these, and calculus and trigonometry and all the things that go with engineering. So then I shifted to urban planning. I went for 5 years trying to get an urban planning degree, and I got it. I got a bachelor's of urban planning. And now I laugh at that because I think, Jesus is having so much fun. Because while I was going through these 5 years of getting an urban planning degree, I always had this feeling in the back of my mind that I'm never going to use this. Have you ever done something where you're doing it, but you're thinking, I'm never going to use this? There's a part of your mind that knows you're not going to even use it. And it's kind of bizarre, but for me, I went through that, and then eventually I kind of got into education and psychology and more into philosophy, and then more into metaphysics. And then the Course came, and woo, I went off the deep end with Jesus. But I had to let go. And even when I got the Course and I had all these miracles and I had revelatory experiences, Jesus was just saying, no, this is just the beginning. He said, I'm taking you on a 5-year road trip to really help you let go of planning, to let go of thinking you know what's going on. And there's a part in the Course, pretty later on in the text, where Jesus describes salvation. Imagine this. He describes salvation. He's describing the resurrection of the mind. He's describing the real world. He's describing the happy dream. And this is how he describes salvation. I do not know the thing I am, what I'm doing, where I'm going, how to look upon myself or the world. That's salvation. That's where we're headed. We're headed to a total let go where we become clueless, like Chauncey Gardner in the movie Being There. We become so clueless of everything in this world that we get so happy that God takes the final step. God says, oh, now you're ready for me. I'm going to scoop you back up into heaven where you've always been. I'll help you remember who you really are. But you have to be quite clueless. How do you become clueless except through guidance? You become intuitive. You let go of being analytical. You let go of past learning. You let go of your judgments and your grievances. That's how you become clueless. That's how you approach that state of salvation. So, I think you're going to enjoy this, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of the movie at the very beginning, and then I'm going to come in for some commentary on the thread. The first part has a lot of thread. I'm going to talk about the thread of time, and then we're going to move into these other scenarios where we're going to see the main character start to get a sense, oh my gosh, there's something much greater beyond this tiny little blinder perspective of the self-concept and the ego. What if I made it all up? What if I invented it? And if I invented it, maybe I can let go of it too. If I invented it, I must be able to let go, to uninvent it. I must be able to release it. If I made it, I must be able to release it. Oh, is that deep? Oh, now we're talking about activating the power in your mind, the light in your mind. Now is where you get close to the escape hatch from this world, when you start to realize that you've always had the power. Like in The Wizard of Oz, Glenda the Good Witch tells Dorothy at the end, she's got her nice wand and all of her sparkly dress, oh Dorothy, you always had the power to go home. That's the Holy Spirit telling us we always had the power to go back to heaven, to remember God. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and I will say that as we get to the end of this movie, it's going to be so spectacular. You're going to see things that you've never seen in a motion picture before. You're going to hear words that you've never heard in a motion picture before, all compacted together as the Holy Spirit comes ripping through as we are preparing to let go of everything that we thought we knew about this world. So enjoy the show today, and I will be with you every frame.